Welcome back to the show, you mob. Once again, we are coming to you live from the Cuck Booster Chair, and it brings me so much joy to say it, but roll the fucking intro. Yeah, like I said, that has yet to get old. It brings me a lot of joy. If you are sitting there wondering to yourself, why are you calling it the Cuck Booster Chair, Rackham? I will tell you because, oh, you know what? I don't know that I've ever talked about cuck chairs before on here. Yes, every hotel has a cuck chair from what I've been able to determine in my many stays in various hotels over the span of my life. It's generally an armchair in the corner of the room, awkwardly facing the bed or beds, and it is the place where your husband would sit while he watched you get cucked. So the boys and I have taken to calling it the cuck chair. And so every morning this week, especially, I've come in and asked Caillou, like, how's your night, buddy? And he goes, I fell asleep in the fucking cuck chair again. So these rooms, we've talked about it before. They're not really set up for what I'm trying to do in here, which is record a fucking podcast. You know what? The only saving grace of this other building is that the cuck chair and table are like right next to a bunch of curtains, and I think that might actually help a little bit with sound treatment. So, but anyway, the cuck chair is like so much fucking lower than the table that I brought the wrong mic stand out with me this time, so I had to like put a bunch of pillows down on the cuck chair just to boost myself up high enough so that I'm at the right level for the mic. So it is now the Cuck Booster Chair. And like, this makes me wish the podcast had like an Instagram or something, just so I could post a picture of this. But oh shit. Okay, so we're on a roll lately, somehow, in the last like week and a half, because I sat down last night and I recorded a full fucking episode. It was 50 odd minutes, and it was a full episode. I fully scripted it. Like, it was good as far as I can tell, trunk to skunk. And I listened back to it today, and I can't post it. It is much too much about April, and yes, it is much too much about April, and this has nothing to do with the Frenchman being a fucking wiener and being tired of me talking about her. It's more, I've kind of put out where I stand on this whole thing. I've put it out to the world and to the universe, and I don't even know if she listens anymore, so it really may just be screaming into the void for all 6 of my listeners. So and for fuck's sake, fucking hotel ice. Like I said in one of the other ones, like, that I had to redo because, again, it was just too much. Like, it's just too personal. It's too much for the podcast, I feel. It's more stuff that should just be for April and I, if that day ever comes. And you know what? I will go back to the script just because there was some good stuff in there that wasn't about her. But yeah, I think I'm going to definitely do my best to try to talk about her a little bit less, at least how I'm feeling about her, because I don't know that I need to really needle down on that anymore. If at this point, it's all stuff that I would rather be saying to her than saying to the podcast. So I hesitate to even say this for fear of what I will receive, but if you do still listen, you can text me now and do with that information what you will. Um, yeah. So anyway, if the episode sounds a little bit different tonight, we are recording on the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro. I just wanted to change it up. I brought 3 mics with me coming out here, so I figured I might as well use more than just the MV7X. So the pod mic, I don't really know what to do with it, because while it is like physically, it's like a very, very good looking mic, and it's very well built, and it's very sturdy. Like, you could legitimately kill somebody with this mic. It weighs like over 2 pounds, and you could brain somebody in the side of the head with this thing and just send them to Jesus. But I can't really dial it in a way that I like how my voice sounds on it. So I don't really know what to do with it. I might have to play around with it a little bit more. And relatively speaking, like, it was not a very expensive mic. It was only like $140. And it really actually frustrates me that I can't get a good sound out of it, at least to my ears. A couple of the late 20s were recorded on it. I think I talk about when I did it. It was the one where I had the gain booster, and then my phone threw all that signal noise, and I thought it was the booster kicking it in. But yeah, I can't really get a sound that I like out of it. I find that it just really, really emphasizes like the mids and the highs much too much, and my voice is a little bit more bassy, and I really like to emphasize the lows to bring that out. So I don't really know what to do with that mic. And I have heard that if you get the pod mic USB, it comes with a very nice pop filter that kind of eliminates a lot of that mid-high emphasis. So that's a very expensive way to find out, because for some fucking reason the pod mic USB is an extra like $110 on top of, it's like a $250 mic. And I'm like, you must be out of your mind for USB functionality. Like, get shot. Like, my MV7X was $250, and that's an XLR only mic. Although they want like $380 for that thing with the USB section, half of it. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I have like a little wish list of mics that I still want to get. The Rode NT1 Signature Series. I would like to get the Procaster. I want the SM7B. I want the SM58. I would like to get the Blue Sona. But for now, I think what we've got is pretty good. I would like one more typical dynamic, what you would picture if you thought of a microphone, like with the silver like mesh on the end and stuff, right? Like, that's why I want the SM58, because apparently it's like just kind of the bar for microphones. And if you can't make your shit sound better than an SM58, then what are you making a fucking microphone for? And then of course I want an SM7B. Like, who doesn't? It's the fucking Joe Rogan mic. Like, and Theo Von uses it. Like, it's on. This is how I like explain to people. I'm like, you've seen an SM7B, even if you don't know you have. If you've ever seen a clip from Theo Von's podcast, you've ever seen a clip from Joe Rogan, that they're using SM7Bs, and it is like the most famous fucking mic for podcasting. So, and then for whatever reason, like, I'm on Your Mom's House, I'm pretty sure they're using Procasters or RE20s, but this is very in the fucking weeds about sound gear, and I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. Like, I just know what mics I want because I like the way they look and I like how they sound. I really, really want the Blue Sona for that reason. But I do worry if the Blue Sona would play nice with the Rodecaster, because it has a built-in booster. And I have seen more than one video that kind of backs Rode's claims up, that says if you introduce a booster into the signal chain, you will introduce noise into the signal, because the preamps on the Rodecaster are that fucking good. So, and we're in the weeds. Let's get even further. Talk even more about sound shit that nobody fucking cares about. This is just me being autistic. So, yes, tonight we are on the LCT 240. I really do like the sound the MV7X is giving me, honestly. Listening back to the last couple, I'm very, very impressed. But this Lewitt mic also gives me a very good sound on my voice. And when I talk about, like, I want to buy another of one of the mics I already have for guests and stuff, the Lewitt is kind of high on that list, because it is very much a mic that, like, kind of everybody sounds good on with a little EQ. Like you can kind of make all voices sound good on this mic, even with no processing and no effects. Like I'll do it right now. I have it kind of dialed in how I like it. That's a little more of those two than I would like normally, but like this is it with no processing. And like I still like how I sound in the cans anyway. Um, yeah. And it is picking up a little bit of background noise. It's a condenser mic, but we'll just turn the processing back on. And this is the dark side of podcasting, is that I've like so fully fallen down this rabbit hole of just another hobby that I can't afford, basically. like I don't have enough. Let's just pick up just another fucking hobby that is insanely expensive the way that I treat it. Like to give you an idea, the cable I'm using to connect this mic to the Rodecaster, $70 for one cable. And it just gets so much nuttier from there. And like, I'm doing this pretty cheaply, honestly. And it's kind of at the point now where I'm starting to think like, do I need a Mac Mini or a MacBook just to kind of dial the workflow in a little bit cleanlier, because the Rodecaster is really made to work with a Mac. But I am resisting so far because while we had at one point hit the upper limits of the iPad's capabilities, we've kind of brought it back down into the threshold with Ferrite and the workflow that I've kind of developed for doing the podcast. So, and it's actually working fairly well now that I am the proud owner of the full version of Ferrite $40 later. Ooh, there, listen to that handling noise. So after 12 minutes of just kind of fuck all there about microphones and sound shit, why don't we dive into the meat and potatoes of the episode? So, like yesterday's episode was kind of about, beyond April. It was very much about like this pattern that I had mentioned in the previous episode about how I'm just kind of careening from woman to woman to woman and not taking any time to be alone and not learning to be alone, and how I didn't notice it, honestly. And now that I have, I'm kind of real hesitant to keep dating, honestly, because clearly there is some stuff I need to work through, and very clearly there is the other baggage that we don't need to talk about, but everyone knows about. That starts with A for April. But, big yawn. And just before we kind of dig into this, because this might be a little bit disjointed, because now I'm going to have to pick and choose from the script, and it's hard enough to have the script in front of me and try and do the podcast and make it sound natural without it being like I'm reading off a page. But just one little more fun aside here. I don't want to call it a nightmare, but it's kind of like my worst fear / something I figured would happen sooner or later come true today. My phone rings and I look down and it's Scotty, and I figured he was calling to bend my ear about where I'm going after Christmas here, because I am supposed to be back in the city for January. That will no longer be happening, we're thinking. Oh, shit. Ooh, I don't know what that was. Very sorry. Yes, Scotty calls me. And I figured he was just going to fill me in on the January plan. No, that is not why Scotty was calling me. I pick up the phone and I say, hey, what's up, fella? And he goes, hey, real quick question, a little bit weird for a Thursday. Is Carl a girl or a guy? And I went, oh, no. Oh, dear God. So we yarned about the podcast a little bit. And like I've said in another episode, or maybe I said it in this one, I don't know. Guys, I have so much fucking vaulted content now that I just can't post. It is so frustrating because now I'm like, I can't remember what I said on which fucking episode. Because it was a lot easier when I did them daily, because I could just be like, oh, on yesterday's. There is no yesterday. I can't even say on yesterday's, because yesterday's is the one I'm recording this one to replace, because I can't post yesterday's. So if we ever get big enough that I can start a Patreon or something, I guess I could just kind of put all this vaulted content up there and then y'all can listen to it. Cause I have half an episode for 20. I think I recorded an entire episode for 21 that I just ended up scrapping. I have the one that I was way too drunk to use. I have one that was too April that I couldn't use. I have last night's that was too April that I couldn't use. I'm pretty sure the one that's half of 20, the front half of 20 that I recorded and then figured I'd fill it in the back half later, that's all about April. And I just couldn't use it because I was so mad. And so I just have all this fucking content that I can't do anything with because, like, it's just too much about April or I'm too drunk, honestly. So I don't know what to do with it. I have probably 3 or 4 hours of episodes that I just can't post anywhere. So, if you're like Scotty or the Frenchman's Wife or whatever and you want this shit, tell me and I'll send it over. But I don't know what to do with it. It's good listen for me. But yes, Scotty is cranking through the podcast. It sounds like he started like a week and a half ago. And he called me today. He's already on 26. So I worry that I'm going to have to like re-up the output so Scotty's not, which like my podcast is not the only thing Scotty listens to. Let's be fucking real here. But I don't know. And I'm a little nervous actually for him to kind of get towards the more recent ones because there was one or two that were very faith-based. I don't know how Scotty feels about that shit. So I guess we will find the fuck out. Yes, so we will try and work some of this off the script because there was some good stuff in here. I think I wrote it. I was fucking shit-faced when I wrote this. And then I sat down to do the show and I was like 7-drink mommy and it just got so much worse from there. So I did manage to keep it together. It's not like the one where I was falling asleep and still talking, and you guys never would have heard this. I never posted it, but it was like by the end, I was genuinely nodding off and still talking, and I ended up talking about like rehab and who had the transmitter, and I had no memory of it until I went back and listened to it the next day. So, excuse me. Okay, so. Yeah, I think we will just dive into the script here. And we will, if it is disjointed or messy, like, very sorry. It's just, if it sounds funny, it's that I'm trying to cut out parts about April on the fly. You guys didn't even know we took a break, did you? Haha. The Roadcaster provides again. What a wise investment this was, at least for how I use it. Okay, so the script. Yes, so I had a couple more thoughts here about a few of the things we addressed in the previous episode, which I can't remember now because the one that's in my brain is the one I recorded that we can't listen to. So, whoops. Oh my gosh. Just can't catch my breath here, guys. Real fucking yeah. Oh man, this Roadcaster is great for me. It's probably shitty for you. You guys are gonna get sick of the sound effects. I'll find more, I promise. Yes. Oh man. This is great podcasting. Yes, I did notice a few things. I was thinking about the previous episode when it was still in my brain. And more specifically here, the pattern that I've kind of noticed in myself, as well as, you know what, we never got around to talking about this, so we will cut it out, but it was the therapy homework. I never got around to doing my last assignment before I had to cancel therapy, so. Whew. You know, it's funny how I've listened to the podcast, like Trunk Skunk front to back, more than one time at different points in its history, and I listen to each episode at least like 3 fucking times after I've recorded and released them. And I still miss this kind of stuff. And I genuinely do listen to each episode at least 3 times after I've recorded it. And it's honestly mostly narcissism at this point because I just genuinely love the sound of my own voice on the podcast, and brings me so much joy to be able to open up like Apple Podcasts or Spotify and like there's my show, that's me, and that's very cool to me. So And it was very cool actually at the Christmas party to see, Scotty and the Frenchman's wife pull their phones out, and there's my fucking show on their phones. Like, that's crazy to me. So it's my silly little show that I set up, and just cool. But yes, I do. So for all my listening to my own voice and being my own biggest fan, like, I still miss this kind of shit. So I guess I kind of really don't know myself as well as I like to think I do. And that's what the podcast is for. At least in the absence of therapy. Like, the podcast was started for many reasons. Like we've talked about, it was to work on my verbal communication, which is an area I'm so weak in, where I can't really express myself verbally. And it was to supplement therapy and kind of work through the smaller medium concepts that we just didn't really have a chance to get to in therapy, and then touch base with Jillian the next session and see if I was kind of on the right track or not. And it's just kind of become this creative outlet and ADHD hyperfixation and, new technical hobby that I really come to enjoy. It is very much this, it's many things for many reasons to me, but it really just kind of scratches an itch that I didn't know I had. And yeah, it's all the things that I like, right? Like, it's technically complicated if I want it to be, and it's creatively fulfilling. And it really gets my writing muscles going again, and like, it's just fun to do. It's very fun to like sit down and like record and produce this show. And that might not make a sense. It might not make sense to not a lot of, but a few of my listeners. Like, I know the Frenchman won't understand why I get what I get out of this. He's just supportive and is happy that I have something to kind of fulfill myself like this. But and then most people think it's cool because, like, to your average person, like, starting a podcast is just witchcraft. Like, it makes no sense to them how you could even go about doing this. Like, even the new girl, we were talking about it the other day, and she was just like, I don't know how you even figured all this out. And I pulled my phone out and I just opened Fairlight, and I was like, okay, well, there you go, we're ready to start recording. And she was like, well, you don't have to be a dick about it. I'm like, I'm not being a dick. This genuinely is all you need. We could do a whole episode right now. It would sound like shit because it would be on the iPhone mic, but this is all you need. And then, like, I can walk you through the rest. Anchor's fucking so easy to figure out. Like, but to your average, it's the same as my job, right? To the average person, plumbing is fucking wizardry. They don't understand it. So it's only because I'm autistic enough, and it's something that I wanted to try for so long, that I really kind of put the legwork in and was like, okay, how the fuck do you do this? Because I've always wanted to do this and never had the chance, and now is my time to shine. So far, it really hasn't come back to bite me in the ass much, except with April. And a few of the girls I've dated are like, oh, I'd love to listen to it. And I'm like, ooh, you will not be doing that, because even though you think we're together, I am very much not over my ex. So we will, I don't know, we're taking a break from dating right now, but moving forward, we probably will not be telling anybody, any prospective romantic partner, about the podcast until things are a little more established and I can kind of explain myself. And that's a long ways away, honestly, because nope. We are not getting into April. We are shutting the fuck up about it. You know what? We'll get into it a little bit at the end, because I do have some thoughts about it and kind of why I felt that I had to re-record this whole episode, because while it was a lot, like, it wasn't anything too egregious, and I was not that drunk. Like, yes, I was fucking 10 drink mommy by the end of it, but I held it together a lot better than some of the other ones. So, but thinking about, okay, yeah, we'll save it for the end. There is a reason. Anyway, where the fuck were we? Yes. So y'all know, I've been out of therapy since I've been up here at the out of town job, because the Wi-Fi, I feel, just doesn't support doesn't have the bandwidth to kind of do the video calls that Jilly and I would normally be doing. So I just kind of put it on hold because I was like, well, I'm not paying $100 a week for something that I'm not using. So it'll be there when I get back, is what they've told me. It shouldn't be a problem to relink back up with Jilly. So yes, I have not been in therapy for almost a month now. And I genuinely can't. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. I genuinely can't wait to get back to therapy and like run through all that's happened since we parted ways with Jilly, even though I should probably be a little trepidatious about that because I've made some very poor decisions since that time. And yeah, this is totally unrelated, but like I have the fact that more than one person I know in real life listens to the show has kind of really made me hesitant to just shotgun episodes out the door like I used to. I kind of feel like they need to be a little bit higher quality and a little bit more planned than I usually do, so I'm not wasting my friends' time, right? Like, and I don't know if they're anything like me, they probably just listen to it while they're driving to work or while they're working or whatever. Like, that's when I get the most podcast listening in, is when I'm working by myself. I just throw a headphone in and throw a podcast on and then brain off, podcast in, and away we go. But I don't want to feel like I'm wasting anyone's time with just nothing episodes. So there is that in the back of my head, that these all have to be like very high quality, very, very content rich and kind of planned out, and not these normal, not like they used to be. Like tonight's is, where there is a script, but we're just kind of skipping around in it because parts of the script are just fucking useless. But and like I've said, like I can't let the fact though that people I know listen to this affect kind of how I choose to do it. Like, it's my fucking podcast, and y'all have the option to listen or not. So, not to be a big old fucking bag of dicks here, but I'm very much trying to not let the fact that feedback is just one text away affect how I do the show, which is funny because I definitely got a phone call today about the show from someone I know in real life. So, but it wasn't any criticism. He was just curious. Anyway, moving right along. Ooh, hopefully that was off the mic. It definitely wasn't. This fluid picks a lot of things up. You know what? Fuck. Anyway, so as happy as I'll be to get back into therapy, like I have to admit that I'm more than very nervous to kind of catch Jilly up on all the things that have transpired since we last saw each other. Like, I know she is not going to be pleased with some of the conclusions I've come to about myself and my dating life and the unspoken thing about that. And judging by how the Frenchman and the Frenchman's wife reacted when we spoke about a lot of this, I have a feeling I know what Jilly's reaction is going to be. Sorry, we're skimming here. This is all about April. So, yes, the dating mess that is right now, like, it's 100% my fault for lying to myself and pretending that I'm ready to be dating. Like, I was fully lying to myself. I was telling myself, like, okay, you are ready to be in a relationship. You have healed. You have moved on. It's time to seek out the next person. And that wasn't true. Unfortunately for Autumn and the new girl, and yeah, more than I'm probably forgetting. Like, the guilt is very, very real, and I am a little bit full of regrets about how I've handled more than one situation recently, specifically Autumn, and more specifically the new girl, which has not been handled yet, but there is no nice way for that this is going to end. It's just going to be a fucking mess. And I just know Jilly is going to be like so exasperated with me when I report all this back to her, because it's quite the little backslide, honestly. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just a drilling down of who I am. I don't know. Fuck. But even listening back to some of the older episodes, like I can't help but question what I'm thinking, making the declaration I did at the end of the last episode. Like, oh no, this is about April. Fuck. Pretend I didn't say that, y'all. This is real bad podcasting. Yeah, and this is the part that I don't want in the podcast. Sorry, we're just vamping for time here. Okay. Okay, so that entire fucking giant paragraph about April aside, getting back to the topic at hand, like let's revisit this discussion about the pattern of behavior I've noticed in myself. Like if you've jumped into the podcast recently, then this will all be fairly obvious to you, especially if you started from episode 1. But to me, the one who recorded all this shit and is living it, this was a bit of a shock. Excuse me. Oh, bad podcasting. Like, I honestly don't know how I didn't notice it until now, if I'm being honest. Like, at least one person had told me that I'm just hopping from one girl to another, and I dismissed them out of hand, thinking they had no idea what they were talking about. And if you know your podcast history, you know who I'm talking about. It's May. Having listened back to the podcast, like, it's fairly obvious, even to Captain Oblivious here, and I'm pointing at myself. Oh, man. That I am really just careening from one woman to the next. And I guess we can say this. Maybe only to me is this obvious, but like I'm trying to pretend I don't have all these feelings for April still. I'm really trying to distract myself, and it's not working anymore, if it ever was. And the worst part of this whole thing is like this path of destruction I've left in my wake doing it. I've said before, like the worst mistake you can say these women have made is that they have bad taste thinking I'm cute or funny. And they think they're going to get a nice guy who's going to treat them right. And what they get instead is a fucking lesson. So I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. It's a very weird kind of guilt I feel, especially with New Girl, like knowing exactly what I'm doing and not having broken it off yet. And there is a reason for that I will not be sharing on the podcast. It is not anything nefarious. It is more timing related than anything. And yes, there is like a method to the madness here, but it doesn't make me feel any less shitty about being a lesson to someone who has been nothing but kind and sweet to me. So it's very much like more surprising to me that I didn't even notice the pattern or what I was doing. There is, I don't know why I'm so out of breath here, guys. Sorry. Like the most specific example I can think of is the episode where we said farewell to May for the second time. I'm pretty sure in that same fucking episode, we welcomed Autumn to the show and to the cast of characters. Like, like what the fuck is listening to it now? I'm like, oh no, this is very clearly someone who should not be dating. And it's like, no wonder I'm not over April. I never really took the time to process it. Like I just buried it and got back on the apps to try and distract myself. And I can say as much as I want. They're like, oh, I saw it coming, so I was emotionally ready. I was not emotionally ready. And I was back on the apps as fast as I was to distract myself from how much of a mess it turned me into. And for all that lying to myself and everything, here we are, paying the price for my foolish fucking decisions. Sorry, this is a lot of drinking, but like my throat is so dry. This is all about April again. Oh, this is all about April again. Okay, so this might not make a lot of sense without the rest of the content. I had to cut a whole paragraph out here, but like, I really see now what a fucking mess I've made. And when May told me I was hopping from woman to woman and I wasn't over my ex, I didn't want to hear it. And when Carl told me that I was just leaving a path of destruction and probably shouldn't say that I'm dating looking for a long-term relationship, I'm really just out here looking to root and raw dog, I chose not to hear that. And when the Frenchman's wife told me that I shouldn't be dating 20-year-olds and probably should date someone my own age if I should be dating at all, I shrugged it off and had an excuse. And, here we are, very exposed, and there's no one to blame but myself. Like, I did this. I hurt these people, and there is no taking that back because I believed, and they believed me when I said that I was looking for a relationship, and I turned into a lesson for a lot of these girls. So that is definitely not what I set out to do. There was no malicious intent, but it happened regardless. Because we all know why. And it's too bad I have to kind of cut this out because it's good stuff about April, but yeah, I don't. Oh, good. Another whole fucking paragraph about April. Sorry guys, this is shit podcasting, but oh, cool. So I can't read any of that. Anyway, and ironically, what I wanted to spend this episode talking about more than anything was the last therapy homework assignment, which was, it was a continuation of like the who am I stuff we had been exploring and some stuff about my temper. But Jilly had wanted me to do like instead of a full explanation of who I am as a person, she wanted who are you now versus who were you when you started therapy. And that was very interesting to me, and I just kind of put it off because I knew therapy was getting put off. So it's been in the back of my mind to go back and do it now, thinking that I would be seeing Jilly soon. It sounds like I will remain in the out-of-town job into January at least, but we'll see what my office has to say about that. Yeah, and I did want to revisit that here. And obviously we've gotten a little bit off track. So this will probably have to be one for a future episode. Yes. So that was a lot easier to run through when I cut 3/4 of it out because I didn't realize how much of that was actually fucking about April. Whoopsie doopsie poopsie. So yes, like we said at the beginning, the ability to contact me is there. The barrier has been removed. And I don't want to spell it out any more than that. So do with that with what you will. And part of the reason that I felt that I needed to come and re-record this whole episode is even just reading the script. Like, this was another April episode. It was going to all be about April as much as I thought it was going to be about me and the damage, the fucked up way I'm dating and how I shouldn't be dating because of X, Y, and Z. It was another episode about April. So I am glad that I came back and kind of re-recorded this. We'll see if I listen back to it, though, and I have to redo this fucking episode for a third time. Which at that point, I would just post whatever I fucking laid down. But yes, it was very, very April heavy, and I said a lot of things that I did mean, but I kind of was thinking about it today, and I'm like, okay, well, you're approaching this like a coward because you say all this stuff on the podcast, but like you haven't even unblocked her yet. So she doesn't even have a way to respond to you or let you know if she has any thoughts on it at all, if she even still listens. So what do you really mean what you say here? Or are you just trying to stay stuck into the past because you don't want to let her go? And I kind of realized like, okay, well, I can't post that episode. I have to kind of tone it down, and we're going to rein the April shit in a lot because I've said what I feel, and I can't really keep beating a dead horse about it. So yeah, what we've said is all we'll say. Like the barrier, I'll just spell it out. I don't give a fuck. Like, I unblocked her today, and I'm going to leave it at that. That's this first small baby step. I can say all this shit, but I don't know that I want to be the first one to reach out. I'd rather it be on her terms so she is coming at it when she's ready. So But yes, for now, that is kind of where we'll leave it, because if I don't shut the fuck up, I never will. And it will be another one about April, and we're already at 40 minutes. So I tried very hard not to make this one so April heavy. I'm very sorry if it ended up coming out that way. I will find out when I listen back to it here very shortly. But moving forward, we will try and not have them be so April-centric, because I have said my piece, and I am just kind of day by day working up the courage to maybe do something about that feeling, i.e. message her. So for now, let's deal with the mess I've kind of made in my own life with the new girl and just try and extricate ourselves from that situation as cleanly as possible. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit messy, but we will do our best to handle it as an adult anyway. And then hopefully I'll have learned my lesson here, because yeah, at this point, if I keep dating, knowing this about myself, then it's kind of just shows a maliciousness that I don't think that I possess. So, yeah. All right. Well, would you look at that? I thought this was going to be a tough one to sit down and redo, and that fucking flew by. So, which is good timing, because I now have to start packing, so I'm not hooning about in the morning trying to do it. But yes, I'm not pretty sure. I know for sure. I said at the end of the vaulted content from last night, like, I know it's been a bit of a struggle these last few, with me like wrestling myself into submission and coming to terms with that this is where I'm at still, and I'm not as far ahead as I wanted to be. I'm still kind of a fucking mess about a lot of this shit. So, and I'm still very much hung up on her, and I still very much have feelings for her. So if you have kind of stuck it out, because the podcast kind of has this cyclical history where I did this in the beginning and then we came back around from it, it'll be the same thing here. And hopefully where it comes out to is not just another romantic partner where I just am ignoring all my own red flags. So yes, I know it's been a few rough listens, and if you especially hate the April content, then it's been real rough for you. But I really appreciate you sticking around and riding it out with me if you chose to. I really appreciate every listener that I do have. And hopefully my silly little drama really makes you feel better about your own life and your own problems. And that's all I really care about, because I don't care so much about that I'm exposing myself here, especially now that like more people in real life listen to me. I don't give a fuck, because it's nothing I wouldn't tell someone if they asked, honestly. So it's just for the whole internet to hear. So yes, hopefully it made you laugh, made you smile, made you feel a little bit better, or distracted you from your own shit for a little bit. And that's really all I'm setting out to do here for anyone else. For me, it's just about working shit out. So yes, very grateful to every listener I have who stuck with me through all this shit. And I hope you all are... No, you know what? We're jumping the gun here. The podcast can be found on YouTube. You go to youtube.com/@Rackham42, and that is the @ Rackham42, RACKHAM42. It'll be in the show notes. And the podcast does have an email, dumbereveryday42@gmail.com, where you can send all your questions, concerns, comments, or criticisms, or anything you would like to tell me or have me talk about on the show. Please be kind. Or don't. I don't know. I'm not your fucking mother. I'm just hoping y'all are raised right. Yes, and the YouTube channel and the link to the email will both be in the show notes. And other than that, I hope you mob are having a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. And I will catch y'all in the next episode. Hooroo!